The views and opinions expressed in this show do not represent those of Cal State Fullerton, the College of Health and Human Development, or the Kinesiology program.
Ready, aim, fire.
Welcome to Kinesiology 101, the podcast for kinesiology majors by kinesiology majors. Every week we bring you a new and exciting guest with tons of knowledge and experience both in and outside of the classroom here at Cal State Fullerton. In the meantime, this is what we have.
I'm digging it.
Cool. So we're back here at Kinesiology 101 podcast for kinesiology majors by kinesiology majors. I'm your host, Jose. And today I have the honor, the privilege to talk to my friend Richard Arreola. Richard is a good friend of mine, but he's also my coach for jiu-jitsu. Richard, it's an awesome pleasure to have you here, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the hospitality here.
Oh, yeah, thank you. It's awesome. Hey, I appreciate you having me, brother. It's a real honor to be on your show.
Cool. So before I ask you more about your background, let me run down a quick list of all your accomplishments thus far, okay? So just bear with me, man. So currently you're the CSUF Nogi coach at the Rec Center. You're the two-time NAGA champion, the U.S. national champion, the Pan American champion, two-time SIJJF World Featherweight champion, and currently you're the IBJJF World Champion. And on top of that, you're currently the top ranked, number one, right? Blue belt in the featherweight division.
Yes, that's correct. In the Nogi division, that's correct, yes.
That's quite an impressive list we have here, man. That's let me repeat that one more time. It's an honor and privilege to have you here. Thank you for your time, and it's also cool that you're a kinesiology student. That's where I can relate, at least. So awesome. Thank you for your time, man. Thank you for bringing me down to your gym, Retribution Fitness here in Anaheim. Very nice gym, very nice setup.
Thanks.
Makes me want to work out too.
I know. Once you saw that iron, you're like, okay, you saw those Olympic platforms.
And I seen the mat. I'm like, oh, let's start rolling here too.
Oh, absolutely. We got the best of both worlds here. We definitely tried to accommodate all our members, but most of all, just we love to have some fun here. That's what we do here at Retribution.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. So I've known you a little bit from I think I had a class with you, right? It was sports psychology with Professor Laguna.
That's correct.
And you're that guy who sat in the front, took perfect notes, raised his hand, answered the questions, gave examples. And I was the guy in the back. I think it was my sophomore, junior year. And I'm like, shut up, man. Let Laguna talk. But no, a lot of the examples that you would share were very interesting because you're coaching at the time. You still are. But a lot of it kind of tied in because I'm like, oh, this guy, he knows what he's doing. He has something going on. Let me get to know him more. And then that's when I got more into the classes at the Rec Center. So that's kind of just briefly how I know you. Go ahead and just give us a better background of where you're coming from, your hometown, your high school, how you came about, I guess.
Sure. Well, I was born and raised in Orange County my entire life. I used to live in Santa Ana, and then later moved to Fullerton, where I spent most of my life. So I guess you could say I'm kind of like a Fullerton boy. Proud, It's when I was in Fullerton, I had big aspirations, I played basketball, so that was my primary sport at the time. So I had big aspirations going into high school of one day being a big basketball star. You know what I mean? I played in a couple of leagues for the girls club, boys and girls club, and so I would play a lot for that league, and I actually won a championship there. So I was, I already right then and there I knew basketball was my sport. That was going to be my bread and butter. And so when I went to high school, I had the sad realization that, that I wasn't going to make the team because when I tried out for the team, I actually got cut. And I think from what the coach told me, his reason for cutting me was, I was too short. So he was very blunt.
He just told you straight up, you know what, kid, you're not going to grow anymore. Let's just stop right here.
I thought I did good. I was more of a defensive player, but apparently he thought I was just terrible in general. And so he dashed my dreams. But it sucked. I couldn't play basketball. So anyway, I remember after the tryouts, I was really bummed out, that I didn't make the basketball team. And I think at the time, my friend, my buddy at the time, he was, his name's Christian. He was wrestling, and he always would, tell me about it and tell me you should come up with the team. And I'm like, nah, no, thank you. I don't want to wear spandex. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess one day I think we were supposed to hang out, and he called me up to go get him at the wrestling room. And I had no idea that when you're a non-wrestler, if you enter into that wrestling room, they have like a little ritual where they take the person that's the non-wrestler. When you walk into the wrestling room, they throw you on the floor and pretty much lay a beating on you. So I got twisted into a pretzel when I walked up there to go pick him up.
Yeah.
And I think I got my eye busted, or something like that. I had a bruise, and they beat me up pretty bad, put it that way.
They didn't give you a waiver or anything, right? They just
oh no, yeah, no. they I remember they stuck it to me.
Yeah.
So like anyway, I ended up going back the next day, and I took another beating, and I just kept going back ever since. I loved wrestling. It was I wrestled for Fullerton High School. I started since I was a sophomore all the way till I was a senior, and it was a big part of my life. I loved it. Wrestling really instilled a lot of strong work ethic in me, and amongst that, it just it taught me to have self-confidence, and it's a great sport. It does it brings out the best in people, and so it did a lot of great things for my life. And so I mean, yeah, and after that was my career at Fullerton High School. Started wrestling from sophomore year all the way to my senior year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also know that you were part of the 2009 state championship team for the Santa Ana Community College.
Yeah.
How did you go from high school and then to that point where you're a champion, I guess, for a community college? Where was?
What happened was after high school, I had aspirations on college wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, life kind of throws you a curveball, and sometimes things don't always work out the way you want them to work out. I know that when I got out of high school, I tried out college, but I was a mediocre wrestler in high school, and I was a less than mediocre student in high school in my academics. So, right off the bat when I went to college, it's just I felt like mature wise, I wasn't ready. I had a hard time paying attention. I wasn't applying myself. So I thought I would put it on the back burner a bit and maybe come back to it when I felt I was ready. But during that time when I was on kind of hiatus from college, I was getting involved in a lot of other activities and getting involved with the wrong people. Unfortunately, I picked up some bad habits, and I pretty much was physically and mentally, I was just doing a real number on myself, and I get caught up in a lot of bad activity and get into a lot of trouble. When I decided to finally return back to college, it was actually funny because it's almost like a series of events happened, before that in order to get me to that point. And one of those points was where it was when I returned back to wrestling. It wasn't through wrestling, like competing wise. It was through coaching. What happened was, at the time, this was years later on, I was probably about 23 at the time, still caught up in my bad lifestyle at the time. My younger brother was wrestling for high school at Orange High School,
Mm-hmm.
and he was wrestling, and he was mentioned to me that they're in need of a coach. I guess their other coach was leaving, and all they had was one coach left, and they need help. And I know they weren't really that good, but my brother said that we need help. Can you help us out? And at first I kind of didn't want to get involved. I was like, I don't have time for it. But in reality, I did have. I was just doing other stuff,
Right.
stupid stuff.
Right.
But finally, and I think I asked them how much does the job pay, and they told me how much the job paid, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of money for me to have a good time. So I was like, well, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got involved in it, and I was the assistant coach at Orange High School. And when I was coaching there, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was sort of learning. I was flying off the seat of my pants, I spent more time yelling than I actually did coaching. And that was just one of the many things that that I did wrong. I think, as a coach, but luckily I had a gentleman there by the name of Justin Young, who was the head coach at the time. He was working with me, kind of honed in me. And I think it had a lot to do with the fact too that, I think at the time when I was coaching, I was, I was overcoming, in the process of overcoming like a serious addiction problem. And so when I went right into coaching, right off the bat, I was already like in a bad mood.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you can say, when I came into this coaching thing, it kind of transformed me. During the process of me coaching these kids, I began to realize that when I started, instead of like getting angry with them, and instead of just yelling at them and just shouting out moves and everything, that if I actually listen to them and actually just take the time and apply myself and helping them understand the technique that's being taught,
Mm-hmm.
and devote more time to getting to know them as people and really genuinely trying to help them, that the more better I became as a coach. I became much more involved in their lives. I became more involved in their well-being. We kind of put winning, because we were a terrible team at the time, so I didn't look more at as I put less focus on them trying to win and more focus on just trying to get to know them and help them become better individuals. And in doing that actually made me a better individual. And of course, I've learned all that through through I think the coaches on the staff. I was very fortunate that the people on staff, which was my friend Justin Young, he was the head coach at the time, like I mentioned before, and I learned that through a gentleman who later joined our staff by the name of Tim Byers. A wonderful, both great guys, great, phenomenal coaches. They taught me and honed me into being a good coach, and pretty much just showed me the way it should be done, the right way. And as I began to get better in my coaching, then that's where, things started to swing our way. We started to win more. We started to do well. And also, too, because, we have a great staff. I learned by watching these coaches. I became a better coach by observing and watching them. And that's how I was able to help, do my part.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of ties back into how in 2006 you were the Orange High School Athletic Coach of the Year, right? Everything that you kind of just mentioned, it was well acknowledged, well received. So there was a recognition for that too.
Yeah, I think that year our team was, because we were awful in the beginning, and we slowly started to progress and get better and better and better. And as we got better, a lot of it was because we had a solid staff. Our coaching staff was, our staff was great, but a lot of it was, I have to give credit to him. He's an amazing coach. His name's Tim Byers. Byers was an amazing man, a mentor of mine that I looked to, and I learned a lot from him. And, he was the real difference maker. And, they presented that award to all of our staff that year, so I was very fortunate to be part of that staff.
Yeah, and I'm only assuming that through that experience, you decided to get back into the college mats and kind of give wrestling a shot.
Yeah, that's how it happened. It didn't become real to me until I actually took over the head coaching the program at Orange. When I took over the head coaching program over there, then that's where it got real. Because I always told my athletes that, hey, look, if you're gonna do something, be the best at it, work hard at it. Devote yourself to it. Don't just go through the emotions. Really, really put your all into it. And then when I started, thinking that way, I thought to myself, okay, well, if I'm gonna, if I'm telling these kids that they should, live this way, then I should be practicing what I preach. And that's when I decided, I wanted to be a teacher. So I decided to go back to school. I decided to make my life difficult. Go back to school at age 27 and be a student. And I thought, while I was there, what the hey, I might as well just compete and wrestle.
Uh-huh.
And when I went back to Santa Ana and I made the jump to Santa Ana College, enrolled as a full-time student and wrestled under Vince Silva, who was a phenomenal coach, probably one of the most wonderful individuals I've ever met, the most, the best coach I've ever had, hands down. He taught me a lot about not just wrestling, but life. And I was, like I said before, I was a mediocre wrestler in high school, but I became a better wrestler when I wrestled for Vince Silva. That guy was an amazing coach, and And I was part of a team, a really solid team. It was a 2009 state championship team where, all the guys that were on that team were just amazing, just solid athletes, solid wrestlers. I was blessed to be able to train with them and get better. And those guys are just amazing. And those guys are still my friends to this very day. They did something that was amazing. And I think that year too was, you couldn't ask for a better year. I learned so much from that team. And I learned so much from Coach Silva. He just taught me how to. He's the one that taught me to have a strong work ethic, and more importantly, he always would say these quotes, and I wouldn't say these were quotes. These are his words.
Right.
He would always tell me, say, "Hey, look, if you want to be number one, if you want to be the best, if you want to be the best wrestler out there, you gotta do what others aren't willing to do. You can't be normal. The normal guy isn't waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, running and training and doing sprints." The normal guy on Friday nights isn't staying here in the wrestling room at 7 o'clock drilling till like 9, 10 o'clock at night. They're not doing that. They're out in the bars. They're partying. They're living life. But but if you want to be the best, you got to put in the work, and you can't be normal. And that right there in itself was just enough to just how can that not get you fired up? You know what I mean? How can that not make you want to get up at 5 o'clock a.m. and just put in work? And that was, wrestling at Santa Ana College was a great experience for me. That it'll forever be a very, very, important time of my life. But not only that, but just the opportunity to, because I think at that time my brother was my teammate. His name's Jason, and probably one of the toughest wrestlers I ever met. Guys twice the wrestler I am, and twice the wrestler than most people I know. Toughest guy I know. So I think the time that I'll treasure the most is wrestling alongside my brother.
Mm-hmm.
How many people could say that? You wrestled alongside your brother, you know what I mean?
It's awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed wrestling with them. I loved him, I still do. Duh.
Yeah, so that's a very good
uplifting
moment experience that you had.
Yeah.
But then you also had an accident, man.
Yeah.
It brought you back down. Do you care to talk about that?
Yeah, pretty much. Sadly, my wrestling career was cut a little short.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, in the year 2010, I suffered a real bad injury. I was actually struck by a vehicle as a pedestrian while on the 4th of July. I was in the middle of the street. It was 4th of July. Everyone's lighting fireworks, and unfortunately, this the street was really wide, so you can see me. But unfortunately, the car that turned the corner, it was racing down the street, and it caught a visual of me. At least I thought it did.
Right.
And I was struck by the vehicle, and it hit my leg, and I suffered a compound fracture of the tibia and the fibula, so it completely snapped my leg in two, and it was a tough injury. I remember the situation vaguely, because once I was hit, like my head bounced off the windshield. So I just I landed on my head, and I was slipping in and out, out of consciousness. But luckily there were people there to help me, thank goodness. And it was just a really bad situation. It took a toll on me, you know what I mean? But because I remember getting picked up by the ambulance, they were asking me, kept asking me, are you okay? Are you okay? Can you, how many fingers am I holding up? And I was looking at them, just asking them this question: am I ever gonna wrestle again? Am I ever gonna wrestle again? I must have asked the nurse, or the EMT guy, 100 times, am I gonna wrestle again?
Yeah.
He says, you broke your leg, just calm down. I'm like, am I gonna wrestle again? That's all I kept saying to them.
The same thing happened to me when I fell off my bike. I had an injuries, and then the first thing that happens when I fell down, I was like, hey, where's my bike? Is it okay? Never mind this. Is the bike okay?
Yeah, it's funny you're concerned about those things,
right?
While you're in the middle of this big, huge traumatic experience.
Yeah.
But to make a long story short, I unfortunately what happened was I got struck by the car. I had to have emergency surgery right away. My entire left leg, the lower section of my leg, all the way up to my knee, all the way down to my ankles, is all titanium. It's being held in place by a thick titanium rod, and my tibia and my fibula are still there. It's just that rod is that main support system right there that keeps it together. I got 2 screws above my knee, and I ended up getting a screw and a nail in my ankle that keeps the rod in place. So the recovery process was rigorous. I had to learn to walk again. I had to learn to trust putting weight on that leg again. I had to learn to run again. I had to learn to wrestle all over again.
Mm-hmm.
It was challenging. It was. And what sucked too was that I think at the time we were in the middle of beginning our season, and here I am on the sidelines, trying to do some like leg exercises to get my legs stronger, and I'm seeing my teammates out there on the mat wrestling, and it was really, for me, it was disheartening because I wanted to be out there. I wanted to be out there to help my team. I wanted to help get them better, and I wanted to get out there and fulfill my dream of one day being a JUCO state champion under Vince Silva, and it sucked because that didn't get to happen, and so it was. And then during that process, I think the doctor gave me about a year to heal as my healing time, but I healed in 6 months because I trained it every day. I trained it every day in that wrestling room, and plus I went to my physical therapy. It was a lot of intense physical therapy, and I think like from time to time too, I would sneak onto the wrestling mat, even though the coach wouldn't let me. But he saw how bad I wanted to be on the mat, so he would still let me, and I would just get on there and just feast on the red shirts and the backups. You know what I mean? And I think I was more just wrestling upset because I was just upset at the fact that I couldn't be out there, so I would kind of take it out on them.
Yeah, and you lost a lot of your abilities too, right? The way you mentioned, like the way you would move and kind of just
my mobility on my left side of my shot, on my left knee was pretty much shot. I couldn't go lateral in certain directions.
Yeah.
It was really tough to make my cuts on my shots, to finish them, to add the bare weight. When someone would sprawl on me, it was really tough, at that time. Maybe it could be the fact that I was just getting adjusted to having the rod, because I still wasn't. I mean, I know my body got accommodated to it, but now you're performing rigorous athletic activity on a leg that's pretty much made of titanium. So it's just it's nuts.
Yeah, and there's a lot of mental factors going on.
Yeah, definitely. It was really really difficult for me, and it was also even more difficult to that I couldn't continue my wrestling career because it was just really, because that's what I've been doing. That's what my life has been all about, and when you take that away from me, it's like it hurts. Still does to this very day. Yeah. So but you move on and you try and get better and just learn from it, and and that's all she wrote for me.
Fortunately, though, you were able to find like a new outlet, a new sport, a new way of living through jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
So how did that come about? Because I'm pretty sure it was an interesting way.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I find myself that certain events in my life, I think my life lately is like everything has been happened by accident. But I know in reality to myself, I say to myself, it doesn't happen by accident. It happens for a reason. But what happened was once again, I fell into jiu-jitsu by accident. I think at the time I was, aside from not being able to wrestle again, the way I wanted to, at the time I was going through a pretty rough patch in my life. I was going through a really bad breakup. So not only was my leg busted up, but my heart was busted up, and I laugh about it now because it's funny now, and. And then it's like, okay, it's like, and I think at the time, because of everything going on in my life, it's like, Jesus, it's like I was struggling to I was on the verge of graduating, but they weren't quite sure if I was going to make it because of my grades, because obviously everything was hitting me all at once. It was affecting me mentally, and I couldn't I was barely hanging on, let alone trying to make a 4.0, and I was an honor student, so I was just like, I was ready to just call it quits, you know what I mean? But the way I got into jiu-jitsu was I was in a bio class, and I met a man by the name of who's still my friend to this very day. I love the guy. His name is John Carr. We were in class, and he was a pretty big dude, and he was very fit. And I guess he told me that we would always talk wrestling, and talk grappling, because I guess he did jiu-jitsu as well. He was a blue belt at the time. He was a blue belt, and he also did Muay Thai. So he was telling me about this gym that he goes to in Irvine called Timoyama, and he would constantly, tell me, hey, you should go check it out, bro. It's a cool place. I think you'll do well. And I'm like, okay. I kind of would just kind of brush him off, thank you, but no thank you. But I would never tell him no thank you. I would just, but he would constantly keep encouraging me to go out, and I would resist it because I wanted to wrestle. I didn't want to do jiu-jitsu. Right. And but finally, I think one day I just wanted to shut him up, and I told him, I said, okay, yeah, I'll go down and I'll go check it out, just to say that I went down there, you know what I mean? So, so I ended up going down to Irvine, And
Did you get beat up like you did in wrestling the first
no, it was actually a bit different. But what
Yeah.
happened was I ended up going to Timoyama, and I remember walking into this gym, Timoyama in Irvine. When I walked in there, I never seen anything like it. I walked in there, and there's like pictures of all these fighters with championship belts. Look at their trophy case. They got all these jiu-jitsu trophies. They got all these Muay Thai, MMA title belts all over the place, and I was like, wow, it's like I've never seen nothing like this before in my life. And I see pictures of like celebrities and famous fighters. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, people train here? I was like, this is cool. And so, yeah, I was blown away by it. And I met a guy, the manager there, Ron Skolsdang. I love the guy. He's my friend. And he told me, he's like, yeah, they have jiu-jitsu here and everything, so you got to come try it out. So since you're a wrestler, you can try the nogi class. So I jumped into nogi that same day, like that same evening when it was class, and I jumped in, and I loved it. It was amazing. I loved the movement. It was almost identical to wrestling, but it wasn't. I liked everything about it. Just how the way everyone moved their bodies, the body positioning, the submissions, the positioning, just everything that went along with it. It was just I was hooked. And I found myself just like becoming more like involved in it. It just, I don't know, it was almost like love at first sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for people listening, like the gi and the no gi, can you kind of distinguish the two? Because I know it's very common for people to watch or think of jiu-jitsu as always wearing the gi, the belts, but no gi, they don't have that, at least in the competitions or in trainings. What are the differences between the two, or why is one more favored than the other in some cases?
With the gi, I know with the gi, it's just jiu-jitsu where you're wearing the traditional gi, the kimono.
Yeah.
And obviously there's more involved in it's more challenging with the gi because you're dealing with grips and whatnot, body positioning. It's way more challenging. And as opposed to no gi, where no gi, you have like, you can throw on like some shorts and a shirt or like a rash guard and some shorts, and it's more like grappling, like wrestling based, but it's jiu-jitsu technique. But it's just without the kimono. There's no grips to hold on. You actually have to, grab onto their arm, the skin, and all that kind of stuff. So it's like I would think that those would be the distinguishes, the differences. You know what I mean? It's like wrestlers tend to shy towards no-gi because it's more familiar because it's without a kimono. But me at my gym at Timoyama, you're encouraged to train both, and that's actually funny too because like when I first went to Timoyama, I started jumping to nogi just right off the bat, nothing but nogi, and I was being encouraged to train the gi by my coach Chiva Santana. Phenomenal individual.
Right.
He's a nice man, very nice man, very humble, very cool, and awesome at jiu-jitsu. Just amazing. I think he's like he's an older man, but he still wins world championships.
This is the guy they call the arm collector?
The arm collector, yeah. It's like he's a big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like he's really cool. He's awesome. I learned so much from him. It's amazing. But yeah, I was encouraged by Jiva to train the gi, and I was kind of resistant because I just I didn't like the gi. I saw the grips and everything, and I tried out a class. And I didn't like the grips. I thought it was cheating. I didn't think it was cool. I thought, like, I don't like this at all. It's like, you're sweaty in a sauna. Like wearing a gi is like a sauna suit. It's So you're just, you're sweating all over the place. You're just, like you can't get good positioning because the guy's holding on to your lapel, your collar and everything, your sleeves and everything. And it's just, it sucks. You're just like, oh my goodness, like I'm getting frustrated here. So, but, Coach pulled me aside and would tell me, hey, look, just you got to keep practicing. Just keep practicing. Keep training. Consistency is what he told me.
Right.
Which is something that I still hang on to from what he told me. Consistency. Keep training. Keep getting better. Just keep showing up, in other words. So I kept showing up and kept doing it. And I kept training, both gi and no-gi. And it's actually quite funny because my first no-gi tournament, my nogi coach is Professor Mo Kayat, who is also a black belt under Jiva Santana, and I love him to death. He's my coach. I love him, and he teaches the nogi there, and he encouraged me to compete. So I jumped into my first tournament, probably like 3 years ago, and my very first nogi tournament, I got choked out. I got triangled like in the first round. So
There goes the gold.
yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. Yeah, there goes the gold. So I got choked out via triangle, and I ended up dropping down to the consolation bracket for bronze. I beat my next two opponents, and then I meet the same guy that choked me out in the first round. And sure enough, I was doing a little bit better, against him. But I got caught slipping again, and he choked me out again in the triangle.
Wow.
So I lost the bronze. And to this very day, it's like, I think my coach took a picture of all of us as a group. It was like me and like a couple of my teammates, everyone has medals, but me. And when I see that picture, it's like it irks me. But it's like, I see that picture. But my coach, Mo told me, says, hey, don't get upset, get better, train more, keep training more. And that's what I like about my coaches. They encourage me to keep getting better. And so I did. I started training a lot of gi and no gi, and then my very first, after that I thought I'd give competition another shot, and it just so happened to be a gi tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was as a white belt, right?
Yeah, this was as a white belt. Yeah. I didn't have, my plan was to just stick with nogi in competitions. You know what I mean? I didn't think I was going to jump into gi competition, but I was being encouraged by my coach Jiva to try it out, and I ended up registering for the American Nationals for IBJJF, and I had no idea what was going to happen, because this was my first gi tournament, and I ended up winning the tournament. I ended up becoming national champion, and it was amazing, and I just kept competing and just kept going from there.
And it wasn't a very easy tournament, right? This was like one of those tournaments where it's like every little, thing matters.
Yeah, I was scared. I
Yeah.
was frightened. I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. It's like it's different. Like when you roll with your teammates, and then when you jump into competition.
Yeah.
Especially when I've been training with nothing, in a wrestling nogi type of like style where it doesn't involve like a kimono, where this involved a kimono and a lot more technique involved, and I'm probably not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to gi technique, but I was freaked out. I thought I was gonna get choked out the first round, and it ended up becoming the exact opposite. I actually ended up pushing through, being smart, winning each match by a close score, and no, actually my first match I think I won by submission, and the second one I squeaked and won the national title in the final.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned to me before how after you won that, your coach promoted you.
Oh, that was the Pan Americans.
Okay. Let's talk about that, because I think that's the next.
Oh my goodness.
That's a more recognized, I think, tournament, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Pan Ams is hands down one of the toughest jiu-jitsu tournaments I was ever a part of, and it's probably one of the toughest tournaments out there in jiu-jitsu. It's very well known. It attracts a lot of tough competition, people from all over the world. I was prepping. I trained really hard for the Pan Ams, every day, and I don't think I realized what I got myself into the moment I walked into the Brent Event Center in Irvine, because I've never been to the Brent Event Center in Irvine, and I walked in there, and it was just, oh my goodness, it's like people everywhere. It's like it's like thousands of people everywhere. There's like mats everywhere. There's referees dressed wearing ties and everything. There's cameras like on each like mat, because it was being like televised like via online.
The world's watching.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, wow. And there's like, I think when I got there too, like I heard like coaches like yelling at coaches yelling at their athletes like in different languages. So I was like, holy cow, this is real.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big deal. And so when I got there, I was freaked out. I was really scared. A lot of people didn't know that. I mean, I'll never admit it, but I guess they'll know now. I was freaked out, and so I think the thing was, when I weighed in, I looked at all my opponents, and they were all taller than me. They were all way taller than me. I was the shortest guy, I think, there. Yeah. Yeah, and so I was weighed in. We fought. I think my first match, I got thrown on my head. Like some guy hit me in a judo throw, and I landed on my head, and it was just a train wreck. I thought I was gonna lose. Like, oh man. But I ended up pushing through, and my first two matches were just tough. I just had to. They were all by I think by 1 point or 2 points, so I definitely had to just play the game.
Yeah.
And plus, I think my second match, that guy was just so tall, everyone was bigger than me. I was the smallest guy there, so
They
everyone.
probably played basketball or something.
Yeah, something like that. They look like basketball players.
Yeah.
These guys are tall. So anyway, in my semifinal match, I won that pretty convincingly, and then when I got to the final, that's where it was game time. I was like, holy cow, I can win this. I was like, wow, this is it. I've replayed scenarios like that in my head many times.
Yeah.
Because I learned that technique from my wrestling coach. He always taught me to always replay yourself like winning, like the state championship. Or, imagine yourself like you just taking the guy down and just letting him go and just putting the heat on him and everything. So I already imagined myself in the final, but I don't think it quite like sinks in until like you're actually in the tournament. And you're actually like there, and that guy's like facing you. Then it's like, okay, now you got to make it happen.
Yeah.
So my finals match was really, really tough. I won like 1-0. It was really close. The guy was super tough. He was putting me like in a weird position that I've never worked in practice. And coach, I was just trying to listen to my coach. I was trying to hear him. I was hearing him yell, and I was just listening to him so I can not screw up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I ended up winning the match by 1 point. And like when I won that match, it's like, oh my goodness, it's like I was just overwhelmed. I couldn't believe what just happened. It's like when I saw like I heard my coach yelling like 5 seconds left, just hold him, and it was like 5 seconds left, and then you see the guy, he just gave up, and me, I was just like, oh my goodness, this is gonna happen, and like I was overjoyed and I was beside myself. It was amazing. It's an amazing feeling when you win the Pan Americans, and I think to add the icing to the cake, I wasn't expecting this at all. I was on top of the podium, and they're giving out the medals. Mm-hmm. And when they called me to the podium, I got up in the podium, and then the guy, the lady went up to put the medal over my neck, and then my coach walked up to me, and I'm looking, I'm like, what's he doing? And he pulls off my white belt, and he awards me my blue belt on the podium, which is the highest honor like you can have in a belt promotion, is get promoted on the podium. So I was like overwhelmed. Like I was like, whoa. It was I didn't know. I didn't have any words to say. It was an amazing feeling. It's just to know that all your hard work and everything that you worked for and trained for this moment was to be the champion of this tournament, and then and to add and to make it more sweeter, get promoted. Like that's
right.
Like that's so cool, and be promoted by Jiva Santana, of all people. It's like, this is amazing. So I was very excited, and I remember a lot of things happening like in that tournament, like what I could have done and whatnot. But I think it didn't really sink in until until after the tournament was over. Like after the tournament was over, like I was like in my car, and I sat in the structure for like almost 2 hours. Like I was just dead tired. Like I couldn't move my legs. I couldn't, like, my hands, my fingers were throbbing from gripping. My forearms were just shot. I just had to get myself out of that gi because I was just sweating like crazy. I was just like, my body was getting heated, and I was just sitting there, just staring at that medal, and just like, that's where like it hit me. Mm-hmm. Like everything I've been through, all the stuff all the crap, all the nonsense, all the heartbreak, all the, the struggling, both, right. Both emotionally and financially, was all for this to show that I can muscle my way through it, and just get to where I'm at right now. And it was the best feeling in the world. It was a very emotional evening for me.
Yeah.
But I did it in private though. I don't want to do it in front of anybody. I just kept it to myself. You know what I mean? But it was just, I was just blown away. I was excited. Since then, I haven't stopped competing. I love competing in jiu-jitsu. No gi and gi. It's
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good. Very good highlight point in your life, at least so far in jiu-jitsu. I mean, I'm still waiting for you to compete in Abu Dhabi, but but we'll see.
I gotta earn that one. I gotta work my way up to that. I got a lot of work to do if I get to that one.
Yeah. So I remember last year, in October, the Daily Titan newspaper on campus, they had an article about you, right?
Yeah.
And this was after you won the IBFJJ, right?
Yeah, IBJJF world title.
That's when you won that one, and that's, I think, the most recent one that you've won. How did that go? I mean, because that's now you're a blue belt, mm-hmm. So now you're competing against these higher level athletes, mm-hmm. and you're still winning. How do you do it?
Well, I think with the IBJJF Worlds, it's funny too because like I think the last two world championships that I've won, NIBJJF SIJJF and IBJJF, were all against opponents that have beaten me in a previous tournament, and we would make it to the final to meet each other in the final, and I would beat them. So that's the part I find funny, and I mean, not only would I get my like revenge, but I would also cap a world title as well. So that would be like pretty sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, because I think my first world title was the SIJJF. I went against some guy from Gracie Barra. He was a purple belt. He was from Gracie Barra Northridge, which is a pretty tough gym. And we met at a previous tournament, and he beat me. He beat me by I think 3 points or something like that. So I was very upset about that. So I trained, I got better, and we ended up meeting again in the world final, and I beat him very convincingly. And this last world title, the IBJJF one that you're talking about here, same thing, same tournament. I met the guy. I met a different guy at a previous tournament that I lost to in overtime. And I think it was double or quadruple overtime. I lost to him, and then we ended up meeting again in the IBJJF World Final, and I beat him. So I was like, it's it doesn't get any better than that. You know what I mean? At least for me.
He's not smiling in the picture, right?
Yeah, no, he's not smiling. He's not happy at all.
He's not happy at all.
Yeah, but I'm excited.
That's awesome. And it's also great that the school recognized you for that. Because, I mean, it's one thing for you to be doing kind of things within the school, but now you're winning championships nationally. So to be recognized, that must have been pretty sweet too, right?
That was really nice of them to do that.
Yeah.
That was really cool of them, I mean, because, when we as students, we work hard, we have a lot of things going on in our lives. We have to study, we have to find, we have to wear many hats, you know what I mean? And I remember training for that world championship, the IBJJS. I already knew ahead of time that I was going to face that guy, because they released the brackets ahead of time. So when I saw who was in my bracket, I already replayed that scenario in my head that I was going to meet him in the final. So I had to prepare myself, because it's one thing to go against a guy that you've never gone against, but to go against a guy that you lost to in the past, it kind of stung. It stung a lot. So I was in that practice room just training nonstop. Me and my teammates would we would train at Timoyama, we would train outside of Timoyama, we would do a lot of drills, and I told my coach too, I told Mo, I said, hey, look, I might end up meeting that same guy in the final again. So okay, well, let's get ready. We already had a game plan, so we were training, we were implementing it. I was doing strength and conditioning here at Retribution Fitness. Thanks to my strength coach Josh Godel, phenomenal guy. So when I went out there, I was in really good shape. I was prepared, I was ready, and it ended up working out.
It sounds like that's a good place to be when you're a kinesiology major, right?
Yeah.
You got the sports psychology behind you. You got the strength and conditioning behind you. It's all there. It's just a matter of going and do it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, and I think at the time, too, I was taking Dr. Laguna's class or something like that at the time, that last semester. So I was already, learning, a lot about the concepts of it and everything, and, on how to, relax yourself, self-talk, those things that I learned. See, Dr. Laguna, I do listen.
Yeah, I have a question. So I have nationals coming up.
Yeah, and the funny thing was that during this whole time when I started doing jiu-jitsu, and I was doing it when I was going to Cal State Fullerton, that's where I know I started in Santa Ana College, but I got more serious about it at Cal State Fullerton when I was but I would ask my teachers, about, hey, look, how would I approach this way, both in nutrition, both in, sports psychology, and also, in other aspects of the sports realm and how it relates to what I'm doing. I would ask a lot of questions about it, and then I think I wrote a paper one time where I think it was about mental toughness and about about sports psychology, and it happened to be I wrote a paper about my experience at Worlds when I won my first world title. And when I wrote that, Dr. Laguna was like, "Whoa, what? You did this?" And I'm like, well, yeah." And she was like, "Do you have pictures?" "Yeah." And I sent her pictures, and she was like, "You did do it." And I'm like, and she was like, and then from there, she would help me out, and and amongst all of my other instructors, we have really awesome instructors at Cal State, so that's why I think I was very fortunate to be going through all this while I was a student.
And then we had a video project for that class too, the sports psychology. I don't know if you remember. Did you ever give her any videos of you doing jiu-jitsu?
I think I sent her one video one time.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Wow, she was like, you kicked that guy's butt." I'm like, "You lost to this guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I lost to him." And I was like, "No, but nice. I should." Yeah, but I was just, you know, I'm just trying to jiu-jitsu attitude, be humble, you know.
Be humble, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, you know, so yeah, it was, and that's the thing about it, you know, it's like, you know, it's just, I was very fortunate that, you know, just everything all comes from the people you surround yourself with. I'm very fortunate because I surround myself with really good people. My team, great individuals. You know, these are remarkable people. These are, you know, they work hard, they train hard, and, you know, we're a strong team. And when you train with people that are on the same journey as you, you know, that really helps. You know, like most of my teammates, you know, we hang out outside the gym, you know what I mean? And we also, you know, spend a lot of time outside, you know, just, you know, like training both in the gym and outside the gym, you know. When you got someone who's out there trying to, you know, embrace the grind with you, then that really helps. I think that's why we're so strong as a team. And also, you know, hands down, coaches. We have awesome coaches.
Yeah.
We have great coaches. Professor Mokayat is an amazing coach. He's you know, he's worked so much with me. He was my first ever coach. You know, he taught me, you know, a lot about the ways of no-gi and how you implement, you know, the right amount of pressure and everything. And of course, you know, Jiva Santana. I mean, I learned so much from this man right here. I mean, he's the head of our program at Team Oyama. I mean, he's just, our jiu-jitsu club's called Lotus Club. So when I go out there, I compete. I represent Lotus Club, which is, you know, by Jiva Santana. And you know, when I'm out there, you know, it's like, I mean, you know, when I'm out there, it's like I always like hear his voice, like, you know, like even because he started like coaching me through all these like big tournaments and championships and everything, and it's like, so I always like look to hear his voice. And he, you know, he really helps me out too. You know what I mean? He really looks out for me, and I appreciate that. You know what I mean? You know, there'd be times, you know, in the past where like, you know, he sees that like I'd be short on like some money and everything, so he would give me like a shirt. It's like, here you go, you could take that shirt, and then I would just pay him back later. You know, but that's just shows what kind of awesome guy he is. You know what I mean? And you know, same thing too. Like I think, you know, I mean the techniques, and, you know, he not only preaches great technique, but he also, you know, he's also a man of character, someone that you look to as someone that, you know, of high character. Because I remember a lot of things he tells me, you know, so I listen really carefully to what he tells me. But the one thing, one of many things that I remember he told to me, he says, Richard, he said, if you want to be good at jiu-jitsu, the key is consistency and character, how you carry yourself outside the mat, and most of all, consistency, meaning always showing up, training, always being consistent in your behavior with your training, you know, and you know, just showing up every day and improving every day. And those are the things that really stuck out to me, you know what I mean? And I learned from Mo was mastering the basics and fundamentals. Always focus on basics and fundamentals of jiu-jitsu. It doesn't have to be flashy. It's all about securing the positioning and just, you know, mastering your fundamentals. So I learned a lot from these two individuals. These are I have the utmost and high respect for my coaches. You know, I couldn't ask for a better group of coaches. Yeah,
so those coaches made you a very good jiu-jitsu athlete, but I'm pretty sure they also transformed you and helped you become a good coach, because you're my coach too when at the rec center. Do you care to talk about that too? Because I know you have a very strong following, at least with the group of guys you've been coaching since you started teaching there, and then through social media too, you have a lot of support there too.
Absolutely. You know, I was very fortunate, you know, because when I first started coaching at Cal State Fullerton, it was mainly more, I was actually believe it or not, I was actually applying for a front desk position, like, you know, like,
really,
yeah, like at the front desk, you know, we check people in at the gym,
right.
Yeah, because at the time I needed an extra gig to you know, to take care of like my jiu-jitsu expenses, you know what I mean, because training jiu-jitsu is really expensive. Yeah. So, you know, that was my goal, was just to get some extra scratch. And it turns out that, you know, when I sent in my resume, they're like, oh, you have like grappling experience, like, you know, because I put down like, you know, I did wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and they're like, oh, so you do like martial arts? And I'm like, yeah, I do jiu-jitsu. And they're like, okay, yeah, you know, we're actually looking to build a jiu-jitsu program. I'm like, I think you want somebody who's like, you know, like, they were like, you know, I've never coached jiu-jitsu before,
right?
So, but at the same time, you know, when I coached wrestling though, you know, I coached wrestling for like, you know, like I said, a little over 10 years,
right?
You know, and I think the reason why I was able to do well in coaching was because I was blessed to be around mentors, great coaching examples that you know, to observe, to learn from, and at the same time be corrected by, you know, because a lot of these individuals took me under their wing, Coach Young, Tim Byers. I learned by watching Coach Silva. And now I have the privilege and honor of looking at, Jiva Santana and Mo Kayet. I learn a lot from all these men. These are all great individuals that I look up to. And I learn a lot from them. And anyway, they ended up hiring me as the Nogi coach. And like anything else, I'm still learning my basics and fundamentals. But if I can share that with the team, that would be great. And sure enough, it just grew into something. We started off, I think, with 5 guys, and we branched out, to like, I think we had a total, like, at one point, like 40. It's a lot of guys. So right. Like, holy cow! It's like this is becoming something here. And also too, we implemented another coach into our staff, Coach Angelo Hernandez, who's an amazing guy. I love the guy. He's my teammate.
Just competed in Pan Am's, right?
Yeah, he competed in Pan Am's too. He's a 2-time NABJJF North American champion. Guy's an amazing hard worker. He's a beast, and he's a very, very nice individual. I'm proud to call him my friend. He's a great guy. And he does so much for us, and I appreciate that, his help and everything. So that's a great addition to our staff. But yeah, I think in a way, coaching ties into learning, because when I was teaching wrestling, I found that the more I taught, the more my wrestling got better. It's like the more I would teach a certain technique, the more I would remember what I taught, and I would implement it into my training, and especially during live matches. It's like, when you drill a double leg takedown for so many times and explain the mechanics of it to high school kids, and then you drill it all the time in a wrestling room with collegiate guys, your double leg takedowns are gonna be pretty awesome. And I think the same rule goes with with jiu-jitsu. And that's the thing with jiu-jitsu, you're always learning. It's like you never stop learning.
Right.
I see people doing jiu-jitsu into their 60s, and it's like, wow, it's like, I want to be that guy. It's like, I want to be just like him and just keep doing it. And the one thing I'm learning, in the beginning I was kind of struggling with, I still am, but I'm getting better, is that, jiu-jitsu is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You're always learning. It's infinite. You're always learning. And I learned that from my coaches, that in jiu-jitsu you're always learning. And every time I show techniques and everything, and basic movements and positioning, to you guys, at the same time I'm also helping myself.
Yeah.
I'm learning as well. So in other words, we're all learning together. And we recently just had our guys compete as a team for the first time ever.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. That was awesome.
Yeah, can you believe that? Wow, I know. That's like, who would have thought? You know what I mean? Like 5 guys, and now 5. We start off with 5 guys. Now we have an army, and then we're taking like almost like 8 guys to a tournament, and all of them come home with victories. At least one or more victories, and we even brought home a place winner, a medalist, the first ever medalist. That was awesome, and it's like I was really proud of them.
Yeah,
I was very, very proud of them because they worked so hard. All of them. All the guys work hard, but these guys really went out. It takes guts to go out there and do that and compete. So for them to get out there and really put it all out there, and I saw how hard they were working. They were here at Cal State, they were here at Retribution. It's like they were here putting in work, and it's like, so I was very proud of them. So me and Angelo were both very proud of them to see you guys accomplish that and do very well.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to do really good with these awesome shirts? Right?
I know. I hope you like those shirts. Those are nice looking shirts.
Nice shirts. So yeah, you were able to get some shirts for the team, and then your classes grew so much you had to have this semester 2 different sessions, right?
That's right. 2
different sections: Monday, Wednesdays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. That's how big this is growing. What are your plans with that? Are you going to keep doing Rexnary classes, or did you? I think I mentioned to you before. Bringing back either wrestling or jiu-jitsu, but as a kinesiology curriculum.
Yeah.
That would be nice, bringing that back.
Yeah, that would be nice, because I think because I experimented with the wrestling class last semester, and unfortunately we didn't get a big draw. We had about 5 guys register for the class. And but those 5 guys showed up every day. They showed up and they put in the work, and then now when they found out that unfortunately it was being replaced by jiu-jitsu, which was my class, then they still wanted to be coached by me, so they stuck around for jiu-jitsu, and now like the wrestling and jiu-jitsu are amazing. It's like they do so well, and those guys actually ended up going on to compete at the Subfighter tournament. But what happened was wrestling jiu-jitsu got CSU of Nogi. didn't expect it to get as big as it did, and when it did, the demand got bigger for it. So
Right.
now they wanted to start implementing more classes because I think we're probably like the top 5 most popular classes in the SRC next to Zumba and yoga. So like, yeah, so or what's it called, butts and guts or something
Nice.
like that. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I mean, when you're like there next to butts and guts, you're up there.
You're up there, man.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So yeah, we're I try to make it fun.
Mhm.
I try to make learning fun for the guys, and
And it has been, just to
oh,
make it clear for you. It's
Thank
been an
you.
easy learning process, at least for me, because it's a new sport for me.
mhm.
But you've just broken it down so easy, man. It's just the progressions are flowing, the techniques are flowing, the warm-ups are flowing. Everything is, it's encapsulated to something that makes sense, and there's a purpose behind it. So for me, it's kind of hard when I miss a class because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much that I missed today. But when I am there, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, I love when you're there, buddy. When you're there, you kill it. You have this unbelievable like body awareness, like you know where to put your body at, and it's like, and the cool thing too is like you're freakishly strong. You look like you're freakishly strong because I see you overpower like certain guys there, and like I'm like, holy cow, this guy. You sure you didn't wrestle before? That's why I always trip out. And you told me you're a cross country guy, so I was like, oh man.
No, it's just, a lot of it just ties back into how you're teaching it, man. Like, it's so good of an instruction, just a matter of not doing it.
Aw.
Let the body take over. So I appreciate all that you're doing for us.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm only waiting to see how these guys progress too, because it's
Yeah.
quick progressions that we're all doing.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to make it fun. I tried to make learning fun because I know like I know in jiu-jitsu, it's really expensive to compete in
Oh, yeah.
jiu-jitsu and to join a gym that has jiu-jitsu.
Right.
It's very expensive. It's like over $200 a month. It's very expensive. So to have that resource available to you guys, for a very low price of $34, and plus, I think it's only offered for non-students too, which is only $42, which is amazing, and that's a really good deal. And also too, I bring in a lot of special guests, to make it fun for you guys. I bring in like a lot of my like their personal friends of mine.
Yeah.
They come in and they work with you guys, and these guys are legit, and they show like some pretty cool fun technique. You know what I mean? And also I bring in sponsors, and like I bring in people that because I think it's important. Because when I coached wrestling, I want to make sure that not only do we focus on wrestling, but we also make it fun. There were times where it's like, okay. I recall my most exciting year of coaching wrestling was my final year at Orange because, we had a lot of beginners on that team, and I knew we probably weren't going to do much. So I wanted to make this year to be fun. So not only did we would compete a lot, but I would take these guys on outings. So I took the kids to Cal State Fullerton when they had like a wrestling program at the time. I think they were hosting like a wrestling duel for high school day where they would bus you to the campus, and you would watch the D1 wrestlers go at it. And when I did that, they had such a blast. They had fun. They're like, oh, coach, this is great. Thank you so much. I want to do this again next year. I'm like, okay, yeah, absolutely. Or I would barbecues. I would have little fundraisers, but I would make it fun. You know what I mean? And I know some of the kids that I coached, at the time, they didn't have a lot of money. And and the one thing I don't want to do is I just didn't want to put any strain on them like that. I want them to feel part of the team. So, I would go out and I would fundraise the money, or sometimes I would even take a little out of my pocket, which I didn't care, and I would go and I would buy them shirts and sweaters, and I would give it to them. And when I gave it to them, you should have seen it. It was like Christmas.
Yeah.
And they loved it, and I want them to have pride, team pride, and they wore those shirts every day. I think I had one guy that I got him an orange shirt, and it said Orange Wrestling on top, and I kid you not, it looked like it went from a bright orange into a very, very faded tangerine color.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he wore it every day.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, I love this shirt, coach, I can't wait till next year's design, and I'd give him a shirt. You know what I mean? Because he would wear it every day, so I felt bad. So here's another one, dude. You need another one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think it's important. Those things are important.
For sure.
And I mean, that's why when I had the opportunity to get I always promised myself that if I was ever in an opportunity to give back, I'm gonna give back. Because I know what it's like to come up in the jiu-jitsu in the ranks, and I would see all these guys, they were competing, they were having awesome gear, and they'd have cool fight shorts, awesome rash guards. They wouldn't have to. They get supplements. They were getting soaps. They were getting this. It they were athletes, and this was awesome. And like I'm like, okay, well, let me find out what they're doing, and then if I can use that, to help people, I'm going to. And sure enough, when I got my foot in the door, I mean, I was working hard too. I was training. I was going to school. I was training like at 5 a.m, and then I would go to class, and then I would do cardio like in the afternoon, and I would take a nap in my car, and then like go teach you guys. And then when I was done teaching you guys, I would go directly to training at Timoyama, and my night wouldn't end till like 11 o'clock at night, and then I had to study. So like I didn't get any sleep. I still don't get any sleep this very day. But I love it. I love it because I love jiu-jitsu. I love training jiu-jitsu. I like helping people, sharing what I learned in jiu-jitsu. And if I have the opportunity to help somebody else, just like, when people were nice enough to believe in me and help me out and hook me up, then believe me, I'm going to return the favor tenfold. Because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
No one's going to remember me for the championships you win. They're going to remember you for how you make people feel. Mm-hmm. And that right there is important to me. I think one of the things that's important, that when I'm training with my team, my teammates, I like to help them, because they help me. They help make me better. They work with me and they show me the technique, and that they see if I'm making some errors, they correct me and pull me aside and say, hey, look, you should do this, you should do that. Not only that, but like, even like just like my attitude as well. They're there to check me, mm-hmm. to let me know, hey, look, you know what, you're making some errors, let's fix it. And that's what it's all about, and I appreciate them doing that. And then if I could share that and return that favor to somebody else, or whether it be giving somebody a t-shirt or a rash guard and let them know, hey, look, I care, I do care, because, then it's all worth it then. Yeah.
And just to finish on that point, I'm pretty sure that's why all of us keep coming back to you. That's because for those very reasons. Because mm-hmm. the way you make us feel, it's very comforting. Mm-hmm. Something of a sport of that, nature. Mm-hmm. It's good to be comforted, being progressed that way, as opposed to the early Richard where you're just.
Oh yeah, you didn't want to know me when I was like 22, 23 years old. I was a hot mess. Yeah, but that's what it's all about, though.
Yeah,
I was I had very good teachers, mm-hmm. had very good instructors, very good mentors, and because of that, I think that's why it's benefiting me now. And I'm going to continue to learn and get better and improve, because we're always learning as human beings.
Yeah. So what are some of your future plans, goals, any other tournaments, events coming up? Are you graduating this semester, by the way?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I will be graduating in the fall, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be graduating in the fall. I have a few more classes to finish up, but hey, look, you just gotta, at least on the plus side, that gives me more time with you guys.
Exactly.
Teaching you. Yeah,
exactly.
Because I love teaching you guys.
Yeah.
And I think they've made it clear too. Management's made it clear that because of the popularity of the class and how it's beginning to catch fire now, they're possibly talking about implementing additional classes.
Oh, nice.
So it looks like they've also expressed interest in me being there in a more permanent position. So that also is in talks, and it looks like it might go through. So it looks like I'll be there permanently.
Yeah.
I would love to be there permanently. I love working with you guys.
That's awesome.
But my goals for me, I have a competition coming up soon. It'll be the Copa Pacifica. That'll be I believe it's April 26th. That'll be at Huntington Beach. It's a gi tournament, so it'll be my first return back to the gi in quite some time, because before that I was doing a lot of no-gi tournaments. Mm-hmm. Primarily my training was all no-gi, but I just recently returned back to the gi and started training more in the gi, and hopefully I'll just improve and get better, and just prepare for the next world championships and whatnot. And but that's my goal. My goal for me is to continue training jiu-jitsu, to keep learning, and to be a world champion. I want to be one of those guys in at that level, to keep as a competitor, because that's just who I am. I'm a competitor by nature.
Yeah.
But beyond competition wise, beyond winning and beyond being a world champion, in the end, my most important priority is to learn. Because that's what jiu-jitsu is all about. And that's what I've been taught, is that learning is important. Perfecting your technique is important. And because jiu-jitsu is longevity, it's for a long time. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to take care of my body. Longevity. Mm-hmm. Continue to keep training for the rest of my life, and keep learning. that's my most important aspect of jiu-jitsu, is just to keep learning, to learn more, work on my strength. Work on both my strengths and weaknesses, and taking my weaknesses and turning them into my strengths. So, I mean, that's one thing about, that's my priority right now, is just to continue to improve and to learn as much as I can and be a good student.
Yeah. What would you say your philosophy is as far as jiu-jitsu goes, whether it's coaching? What's your philosophy?
For me, I think my philosophy is consistency. Consistency. That's what it's all about. And of course, those weren't my words. Those are Jiva Santana's words.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have many people. I think consistency is important. I think, you know, the time you put into your training is gonna show the end result overall. You know, it's gonna help you improve. And I think too is, you know, also something that I learned from Vincova was doing what your opponent isn't doing. And that could be applied to life in general.
Yeah.
I think if you willing to put in that extra work when nobody's looking, if you're willing to put in that extra work when everyone's out there partying, it's like Silva told me. He said that, you know, a party, or, you know, he said, I think I heard him say something like, he said a lot of things, but many things stick out, you know, but this one happened to stick out at this right occasion. He told me that a party will always be there, but you only have one opportunity to be a state champion or to be a champion. And that right there was something that stuck with me. So, you know, and I think that could be applied to every aspect in life. If you're grinding and you're working hard to build something, whether it be your business or a friendship or a relationship, and you're putting the time and the effort into it, then it's gonna pay. It's gonna show. You know, your success is gonna show. You know, I mean, if you're out there pretty much, you know, living it up and everything, and not and living it up and not doing more responsibilities, you know, then that's gonna show as well.
Right.
So, you know, I just think too that, you know, it's important that I lead by example. You know, I can't serve two masters. That's just, you know, if I want to be successful and if I want to get to the level where I really want to be, I can only serve one master. I can't serve two. So,
nice.
You know, so I just do my best to lead by example.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate once again all your time, man. This is a lot of good content. We touched on a lot of different themes here.
Yeah, it seems more like an autobiography.
yeah. We're gonna publish the book next year or something. Just so for everybody listening, so where can people find you? I know we're here at your gym, Retribution.
Absolutely, you can find me. I train at Team Oyama in Irvine, which is home to our jiu-jitsu club, Lotus Club. But I also work here at I'm the general manager here at Retribution Fitness, we're located here in the city of Anaheim, right off of Kramer and La Palma. So we're a strength lab, and I'm here all the time, and we're open at 5:30 a.m. until closing time at 8 p.m. So I'm here. You can find us at retributionfitness.com. At retributionfitness.com. We also have an Instagram at retributionfitness. And of course, if you're interested in joining the class, or if you know anyone who's interested in doing CSUF Nogi Jiu-Jitsu, you can go under our Facebook, which is CSUF Nogi Jiu-Jitsu, or find us on Instagram at CSUF Nogi. Or if you want to say hi to me, I'm Richard Arreola, and you can find me on Instagram at RA140.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure some people might have some follow-up questions, some more details they want to know about. That's awesome, man. Any final shout-outs to any people? I know you have some sponsors, actually.
Yeah. Definitely. I'd like to say thank you to a lot of people. Just real quickly, I know we're... just want to say thank you to my coaches, Jiva Santana, Mo Kayat. Thank you very much for the work you put in for not just me, but all of your students. We all appreciate it. Thank you, Coach Silva, Vince Silva, for instilling a strong work ethic in me and teaching me to always go beyond my expectations. And also, I want to say thank you to my sponsors. Thank you so much for your support and helping me. This wouldn't be possible without you. I'm in a quest to be a champion, and you make this possible. So I'd like to say thank you to Grounded Athletics. Thank you for the awesome gear. I really appreciate that. Thank you to One Moon Apparel for the awesome apparel. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for backing me up, Emeka. I appreciate it. Also, I want to say thank you to Max Muscle Fullerton for the amazing supplements during training. It gets real rigorous, and with your supplements, I'm able to push through. So thank you so much. Thanks to Josh Godel, my strength coach. He's not just my strength coach, but he's my dear friend, my brother. Thanks Josh for everything you do for me, for giving me this amazing position here. I thank you for showing me that there's another way to be happy. I love my job here at Retribution. This is a great job, and I don't even feel like it's a job. I feel like I just feel like it's me just hanging out with people and just helping them fulfill their goals. So that's the cool thing. When you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work at all. And thank you, Josh, for pointing that out to me. And more importantly, thank you for for helping me become the best athlete I can be. Thank you so much. It means a lot. And of course, thank you to my friends and family. My teammates. Thank you so much for everything. For making me better each day. It means a lot. And I know we're going to continue to get better as a team and continue to grow. And of course, CSUF Nogi, you guys. Thank you, students. For everything that you do, for me. I teach you, but I'm the one that learns a lot. And thank you, Coach Angelo, for your help and support and everything else. So, yeah, I hope I didn't leave anybody out.
There's a long list, I'm sure.
But thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me, and I'm looking forward to going out there and doing the best that I can.
Awesome. I'm pretty sure we talked, the whole episode was on jiu-jitsu, really, in your background. But I'm sure a lot of kinesiology students who are also tuning in, they're going to get so much out of this just because you're a student at the end of the day, too. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of it's going to resonate. It sure as hell resonates with me, man. So once again, Richard, thank you for your time. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for everything you've taught us, and will continue to teach me. And I just can't wait for more, man.
Oh,
thank you once again, man,
brother.
Richard.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. All right, guys. Till next time, stay tuned.